name is Sean. I am the face of the podcast. Yay for me! And we're with India Kern, the face of the brand. How you
Good
doing,
morning.
India? So, what are we going to talk about? I hear today's a really boring topic.
So yeah, it's not boring at all. It's all about we're going to start talking a little about our personal life, but we're going to spotlight Sean. So what's the name of this one today?
How to fall apart at the seams and make it look like you're doing well.
The Road to Marketing Mastery. I think that's what we're calling it today.
Okay.
So I'm going to interview Sean because he has a very interesting story, and I thought we would do things a little bit different. Usually we're giving tips and marketing ideas and strategies, but today I thought it would be fun, and it's a holiday week, so a lot of people are taking the week off, so I thought I would make it more light. So today we're going to talk about Sean. So Sean, I want to know how you got into coaching and what drew you to the world of coaching.
So this is a long story. So okay, here's what happened. There was I forgot her name, but Alexis McNeely or something like that. And she was using the word coach or life coach. This is a long time ago. And so I was in that world, Hermosa Beach. And there's this guy named Tyson who passed away a while back. But anyhow, he was saying, oh, you should be a life coach. And I was like, what I don't even know what that is. So anyhow, then I heard that. Now, I wasn't coaching at the time because I just found out what the word was. Mm-hmm. I still don't really know what the term means because it's used so loosely. But what happened for me is I was living up in Westlake Village, which is Malibu, the Canyon, Westlake Village. It's just it's Malibu, but on the other side of Westlake. I mean, the other side of Malibu. And I had a job and I was generating leads for this business. And I was reading the book Think and Grow Rich. So there's a thing called, and you guys, everyone should Google this right now. It's called the Think and Rich Action Guide. Okay. So I found that and I downloaded that. I printed it out and I would read the book and I'd go through the action guide. I was just doing this by myself because I was sick of being stuck in my job, having to work and generate leads for this company. So my boss came by, his name was Joe, and he said, Sean, what do you do at lunch? And I go, well, I read the book Think and Grow Rich at the park. And he goes, oh, hey, I've read that book. That's a good book. I've read that. I go, well, Joe, it's not something you read, it's something you do. And he goes, what do you mean? I go, come up to the park, I'll show you. So we got him an action guide. He came up the next Wednesday. Then he said, this is great. Can I invite my team? He invited his team. Within 2 months, he had worked there for 10 years. Within 2 months of going through the work with me, he had his best month ever. Nice. Right? Mm-hmm. So I'm not really a coach. I'm just some guy reading a book. So Meetup had just came out at that time. I don't think it was really even popular at the time. So I made a Meetup, and then all these people started coming to the park. I ended up with 30 people coming to the park every Wednesday, and I would get up and I'd speak about, okay, we're on, principle 7. And then I'd talk about it. Everybody would listen. They'd take notes. They were there for the networking too. And then they'd all go home and I'd go, who did the work? And no one did the work except me. Mm-hmm. And so I want to shut up with this and I'll get to the next question was, you had to become certified in something. They're saying to have some type of authority in there. So I said, well, I'm going to get certified with what's it called when you resuscitate someone?
Oh, like EMT. Oh, CPR. Yeah.
So I go, well, I'll just get certified as a CPR guy, and then that was my way onto being a life coach. But I never got CPR certified. But it was just the idea, the thought of breathing life back into someone, right? Mm-hmm. And then next thing you know, I coached my best friend's wife because she had some stuff going on. And I think she was one of the first people I coached as a life coach. And then it just kind of went to life coaching, and then it just grew from there.
Yeah. Well, I think you do a lot of coaching even outside of the marketing world.
Yeah. So being in recovery, I got sober in my 20s, and I'll be 29 years sober in about 2 weeks from today.
Wow.
But the thing is, that's kind of like coaching, but it's not monetized.
Right.
So the mindset is completely different, and it doesn't work if you think you're just going to go around doing this stuff for free.
Well, why don't we talk about that? Because I think that's a big part of everything you do. I mean, it's like the core value. You sponsor a lot of people. How do you tie in your 12 steps into your business, or how does it affect how you operate in life?
They're completely separate. There was a time when I was making like $8,000 a month as a sober companion. A lot of people are for that or against it. I'm like, hey, whatever helps someone not die, I think is a good thing, right? No matter what they do. But the thing is, they're completely separate because the mindset is different. By the way, I worked with this girl, Corey, back in the day. I don't want to say her last name, but she was, this is so cool what I did. Okay, so this is probably 2008 that I did this. And oh my gosh, it might have been 2006. It was 2006 or 2005 or 6. It doesn't matter when it was. But the internet was a little bit younger back then, right? And there's this thing called the International Coaching Federation, right? And so we didn't really, I tried to reach out to them. They didn't have anything going on in Ventura County. So what I did is I Googled the word life coach, and all the people that had like a website or like some type of, I think this is before Google My Business, but you could make these little banners and these little ads back then. So I just found everyone within my area, and I got their names, their emails, and their phone numbers, and I called them all. I had a house. I was in this crappy little town called Oak Park. It's by Agora Hills, if you know anything about that. All the wealth of Hollywood is in Agora Hills. So anyhow, Wayne Gretzky lives out there and all this stuff, right? So the thing is that I had a house where I could like have people over and not be, embarrassed about it. And so I had all these strangers come over. I said, I'm having a potluck for and there's going to be a lot of other life coaches there. So I said, and this is why I said, this is really important, right? For anyone listening, if you're going to have an event, have free alcohol and people will show up. And here's how you do it. First, you have to have an event. You have to have insurance on your event. And then you have to hire a bartender that has insurance. If something happens, then they see the bartenders first. Once that insurance maxes out, then they come to your insurance. That's just a little pro tip. But anyhow, the reason that I was having a potluck is people always say, I make the best chili. Everyone needs to taste my chili. If I was just saying, hey, I'm having a get together, that's kind of like, oh yeah, maybe I'll come. But I didn't want to charge for it. But when I said, what are you going to bring for the potluck? I would write down, they'd go, I'm going to bring potato salad. Nope. Cindy's bringing potato salad. Okay, I'll bring green bean salad. Nope. Fred's bringing. So I was able to get everyone to come. And guess what happened? I started the International Coaching Federation of Ventura County. So I actually owned ICF-VC.com. I owned that domain for a while. And so I was getting all these, but I wasn't able to monetize it because I didn't know what I was doing. Remember, you guys, all I did is I started, I was reading a book. People showed up to the park. And then I started the ICF in Ventura County. But I want to say one more thing. This is when GoToWebinar was like $75 a month. And that's a lot of money, man, back then. That's even a lot of money now, right? Like Zoom is $15 a month. But anyhow, GoToWebinar was $75 a month back then. And so there's a thing called Free Conference Pro. And so what I did, and man, I don't know how I marketed this, but I was building a list. Oh, by the way, I didn't know I was building a list. I was just getting people's emails and emailing them and telling them, go to this Free Conference Pro where you'd call in on a phone. And I went to some website on Think and Grow Rich, and I would literally read the blog into the phone, and people thought that I knew what I was talking about. And I'm like, I'm just reading off of a website, but people didn't know that. And the reason that's so important, I'll shut up with this, is the reason that's so important was I was taking action and bringing people together and literally coaching people, but I didn't know that I was a coach. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So that just reminds me because Sean has coached me. He was my coach, and then we came together after I guess the student graduated. But anyway, he
When the
was my
student
coach,
became the master.
and so he used to. I used to
That's
get
the
really
next podcast, by the way.
okay. So I used to get worked up when I was creating. I wanted to do group coaching, and I'm a planner. Well, kind of. My husband would disagree with that, but I thought I had to plan out my entire group coaching program. He's like, no, no, just see if people are going to sign up and just get 15 minutes ahead of them. And it was the best advice. And it changed my whole coaching practices. I wasn't wasting time. And so, what he's saying, like when he was reading it, he was just ahead of the people listening. And so, that philosophy has helped me create so many different programs, and I didn't get snagged on, oh my gosh, I have to create the whole thing before I can promote it. No, you promote it, then you create it. And it's
Right.
a scary thing for some people who are planners.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to
No, that's
help.
true. And then you sell it first. And
Right.
if you can't sell it, then don't build it.
Then don't build it because you're wasting your time. And so that's hard for some people because they are like, oh gosh, it just feels so uncomfortable. But you get used to it. So the next question I want to talk about: are there any misconceptions, because you are a marketing coach and a digital automation expert? Are there any misconceptions in this industry, or what would you say they are about what you do?
Well, I guess misconceptions would be a lot of people think that, well, so I'm an automated marketing guy. And so a lot of people think, oh, well, if you just if you just get a bunch of emails and then write some copy and blast it out to the list, they think that's automation. Well, you're actually manually sending an email to a bunch of people. So
Mhm.
yes, it is automation, but it's at the simplest form.
Basic. Mhm.
It's kind of like the difference between, okay, let me put it this way. I can make toast, but I cannot make stuff in the crock pot. You got to put all this stuff in it and then spices. I used to make chili,
Mhm.
and then I get a can of chili, like Denison's, and then put it in the chili just so it would taste good. Because it always tasted like crap. So I'm not a chef, right?
Right, right.
And so it's automation is the same way. A lot of people think blasting out an email, yeah, sure, making toast, right? Very simple. But then when you get into the really complicated stuff, when you get up to the high level stuff of aggregating data from multiple different platforms into one dashboard, that's what I do. So a lot of people, and I always say this, people say, Sean, I really want to do what you do. And I go, no, you don't. And they go, no, I really want to do what you do. And I just go, no, you don't. And they
I
go,
say
why do
I
you?
don't. I don't want to do what Shone does.
Yeah,
We do very different things, but we come together and we make a great
right,
team. I do not want to do what he does.
right. And the reason people say that is they think that they could just take a class somewhere, but it's not. It's literally gymnastics, right? It's a we have a sayer: a painter paints, a singer sings, a dentist dentists, right? And if you want to be a dentist, you just start doing dentist stuff, right? Maybe look in people's mouth or something. Hey, you got to be solid in your mouth, right? I'm saying that to you right now. No, I'm not. But the deal is that people that want to do what I do they're actually already doing it. And then they'll come to me and they'll ask a question. I'm trying to do this, but I don't know how to do it. That's someone that really wants to do what I do. So I guess the thing that's out there, here's another thing that really pisses me off. I won't say her name, but her name was Lisa. And well, I didn't say her last name, right? Yeah. And she was with this guy named John, and I won't say his last name, but he's in the movie The Secret. And they were up on stage, and she says, "Hey, you want to talk automation?" And I'm like, neither one of you two, you know, I'm all in my pride and ego. Neither one of, you know, like, you hire people like me. I'm Oz. I'm behind the curtain. So when you see these people out like in their jets, and then they're, now some of the people are real deal like automated people, but a lot of them are like, they hire someone, but they know how to talk about it. That I'm in a coaching group right now. A lot of the women talk about automation, and I'm like, you guys have no idea what you're talking about. Absolutely none. And they even say it from the stage, and you're like, nah, that's not how it works. It sounds good.
But how long have you been doing this? I mean, you started, where'd you start?
So, all right. I'm a super nerd. So I just want people to know, whatever you're doing today, you were probably doing it as a child, right? And what I mean by that, like, if you're a nurse, you're probably, you know, and so I was always the guy taking the television apart, taking the radios apart. I wanted to know what was in there. My very first job, I worked at Xerox, if you even know what that is.
Xerox?
And Xerox.
I say Xerox.
Well, that's because you're from Georgia. But I worked at Xerox, so they might pronounce it differently other places, right? But I worked there as a computer operator. I was 19 years old. I went to a place called Control Data Institute. Then I started supporting Microsoft DOS. I worked at Packard Bell, which means I worked for Alexander Graham Bell. The Bell and Packard Bell is Alexander Graham Bell. I was supporting DOS 2.01, 3.3, and then 4.01 came out. I was there when Windows came out. I was supporting Microsoft Windows. And this is the funny thing. When the mouse came out, I was doing the support. No one in America knew what a mouse was.
Were they
so
going
guys thought that it was a guitar pedal, and women thought it was a sewing pedal. So everybody was putting it under their foot. And they call up, "What is with this pedal?" And we're like, "What pedal?" And then it took us to realize every time someone said pedal, it was really something you put in your hand. No one had ever done that before.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like Frank's grandfather picked it up. It was going like this. We're like, no.
Yeah. And that makes sense, though. That makes sense.
Okay. Now I want to hear about a success story. I want to hear about something that you're very proud of in your career.
I'll tell you what. So one of the most exciting times, I think, in anyone's life in the world of automation and marketing is when you actually, someone says, "Here is all, not some. Here are all of the usernames and passwords to all the tools I pay for." You're just like, yes. It's like a automation dork's playground, because you really can't afford them. They're expensive, you know. I still have stuff now that I have this thing I'm paying $10 a month for, and it's now I think $100 a month. I don't use it, but it is a super cool tool, and I'll probably use it someday. Anyhow, so this guy said, let me tell you first about how I got into how I got into automation. Okay. So I was going to, in 2010, I was a member of the San Diego Chamber of Commerce, which is the largest chamber on the West Coast. That means California, Utah, Nevada, Colorado, and Wyoming, Washington, whatever. I don't know all the surrounding states, and Nevada. Anyhow, so they came out with this software. Oh, this is the software I was just talking about that I'm paying $10 a month for. So since we were chamber members, I think we got it for free or for $10 a month. But it was this really cool software. So I get into this software, and since I'm a nerd, I was figuring it out. No one else was really doing it. So I started blasting emails, and it was so cool because I would go to a chamber meeting and I'd walk in there and everybody would go, Sean, like everyone would say hi. It'd be this really high energy thing when I walked in the event because everyone thought that I was sending them individual emails, but I wasn't. I was just blasting out emails to people, but people weren't used to it back then. Right. So then I got really into that. And then I started going to a thing called Debtors Anonymous, because when you're in a 12-step program, you're always in one after the other. So I was going there, and that's just about living debt free, and it's a way to manage your money. So I was going there, and they said, well, you need to get a coach. So I said, okay. So I went in Meetup, and I found the best person in the whole wide world. I get emotional just saying that. His name's Craig Jacobson. I'm sorry, this was 2012. I've been working with the software, but then in 2012, I went up and to the Encinitas Cafe in San Diego, and he had something there every Friday morning. So I started going there. Well, it turns out he's an Infusionsoft guy. And so I was like, well, I want to learn Infusionsoft, but I can't afford it. So there's a thing called an ICC, and Craig was a partner, but I could have been under his partner program. I'm going to shut up in a minute, but this is important. There's these two guys going to Infusionsoft to get certified. I'd never been in Infusionsoft. So I said, hey, Craig, can I get certified under you? It's $500 or it's $1,500 to be a partner. He said, sure. So I pay the $500. These two guys drive me out there, pay my hotel room, buy all my food. I'm in Infusionsoft. I'm supposed to take a 6-hour test. I've never been in it before. Right? You're supposed to like know how it works before you go there. So I just take it as $500 free training. So I failed the test. But what happened was when I came back, I knew just enough. I was 15 minutes ahead that this guy hired me. And the guy that hired me said, here is the username and passwords to everything I have. Kajabi, Wistia, Infusionsoft, WordPress, all of these. So I was like, oh my God, this is the best. And then that guy gave me the keys to the kingdom.
Yeah.
He was making 30 grand a month. And within 90 days of working with me, he made $120,000.
Oh, that's a good success story. That reminds me of something when I was in my early 20s. I was interviewed for a job at WMAZ, for those Maconites out there. It's the television station. I had no idea any of the software. They were like, do you know Photoshop? Do you know Adobe? Whatever the editor was. I can't remember back then. I was like, I know it all. I didn't know any of it. I went home and I started learning it as fast as I could. I was like 5 minutes ahead of them.
Right.
And somehow I was able to do it. But yeah, I know exactly what you mean about that.
Yeah. And then, but then out of that, you added like a success story once you learned.
Then I learned Photoshop so well, I made a tutorial on it. So I understand that, you just have to dive in, especially if you're hungry for something.
I had to tell the whole the story in the beginning of meeting the coach, like it's a whole Donald Miller thing, right? I met the guru who took me on a journey, and then and then I got that, and then this guy made 120 grand because of me. And he would have made 200 grand if he listened to me.
Yeah,
but he wouldn't listen to me.
So I want to wrap this up with the last question. What is your aspiration for the future, for your coaching, for your clients as well? Just tell me about what, let me see the question. What are your aspirations for the future of your coaching practice and the impact you want to have on your clients and the industry as a whole?
So aspiration means what?
What do you ambition? Like, what would you like, your vision?
Yeah, that's what I figured. But for some reason, I got a mechanical thing in my head because there's a thing called an aspirator. Right. But anyhow, okay. So, really, so the impact I want to make is, so here's my ultimate goal in a nutshell is I want to help as many people as I can at one time. So the ultimate goal is to have a huge event.
Mhm.
I'm not talking Anthony Robbins or whatever that other dude's name is that's the always in his airplane and stuff. But I
Grant,
want to what Grant, yeah.
Grant
I
Cardone.
want to have a big event that makes a big impact on other people to
Mhm.
where they have not just the networking, but they have the training. And I'm pretty sure that I can have a big event. But for me, if it was 1,000 people, and people say, that's really delirious for you to say that, Sean. I'm like, yeah, well, my first event I had 45 people, and the next one I had 100 people, and then I had 750 people signed up. So if that's delirious for me, maybe you're just thinking smaller than I think, right?
Mhm.
Now, there wasn't a lot of technical problems that I had on there, but it was like growing the list and getting people fired up. I'm getting fired up just thinking about it. So, what was the other part of the question?
So, what would you like to? What kind of impact would you want on your clients and the industry as a whole?
Okay, on the industry in the whole, that's easy. I just want people to quit selling hope. I
Yeah.
want people to quit going, oh, yeah, you could be a life coach. Give me 10 grand. And you see this, the
Mhm.
biggest names in the world say this. And you go to their events and they'll go, this is Lisa, and they'll bring Lisa up front, and she has her webcam on her laptop, her $250 laptop, and she owns a business now. So now Lisa, I'll say Fred. Now Fred is a business owner, and Fred is going to help other people get centered and live an amazing life. And
Mhm.
he paid me 10 grand, and I'm like, dude, Fred, that ain't gonna happen, dude. What that guy did was he made 10 grand taking your 10 grand that you probably should have used for your retirement. So that's the impact I'd like to have on a whole, is to where people really get, and it's never going to happen, right? There's always a snake oil salesperson. And then what was the other part of the question?
The impact you want to have on your clients.
So we have a saying that I think, India, you made it up. We don't sell hope, we fulfill it.
Oh, I think you made it up, but yeah.
But anyhow, but it's in line. It's our core value, right? So the clients we have, some of them may or may not be dreamers, but all of them have the ability to generate $5, right? They're not going to sit there and build and build and build and build and build like what India was saying when she met. Well, not it wasn't. I'm just saying, when you were going, well, I got to perfect all this and I got to
Right,
get it done.
right,
I said, no, just get out there.
right.
Every single one of the people that are our clients, they're all getting out there. And
Mhm.
if they're not, then here's a great example. The mother eagle, I don't know what kind of bird it is, but it kicks their little eggling or whatever it's called. And
Fledge.
and then it just freaking goes down the cliff and crashes down the cliff. And it's either sink or swim for the
Right.
little bird.
Mhm.
That's literally the type of coaching we do.
Yeah.
Like, we're
And
like,
another thing we say
go ahead.
is we want to make you a bigger fish in a larger ocean with the least amount of investment. So that is the big part of that, with the least amount of that
Right,
investment, because we see so many people that want to be a coach, but they just pour money into it and they don't understand why they don't have clients. So
right.
that's another
It's so funny because we have some people in our group, they're paying like 20, 30 grand to other people. And we're not that much, but we're like, if you just showed up here and did as we said, like, you're over there going, you're making your things and you got all this and you're busy, 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 getting nothing done.
Mhm.
And we have people over here. I think Sarah, well, Sarah is already making money, but we have some clients where it's like, hey, they go and do it, and they come back and they go, you know what? I just made $50. They're like, good, that's $50
Or
you didn't.
they say, I just had the best month ever. And that's after they joined our program.
Yeah, they joined. They have their best month ever, but it's really like getting out of the build and just getting out and getting people
Mhm.
coached.
Mhm.
And so we say that consistently. People need to be coached. I got that from Christian Michelson. People need to be coached. Let's get people coached.
Yeah.
It's a great
Yeah.
saying.
Well, this has been fun, and we learned a little bit about you, and so thanks for
So
being
next week we put you on the hot seat.
okay. That's fine.
and I'm going to ask you very personal questions.
That's fine.
But one of the things I just want to say in this particular thing, uh, for what I do, is I believe in coaching. I have a coach, and I've always had a coach, Craig Jacobson. Even though it was free, and all I had to do is go. Oh no, I think I had to pay him $20, and then I paid him a couple $1,000s one time. So I was paying him. He was taking donations.
Right.
But he was already successful. Everything was paid for him. It was just his gift to the world, right? And he's a very darling man, right? Like, I'll give you the best advice he ever said to me. I had a girlfriend. You know where Smashburger? Yeah, you know where Smashburger is by your house?
Yeah.
So you know how they have stools in there, like you could stand at that little bar or sit on a stool. So I was
I've
with
never been in there, but yeah, I think I know.
anyhow, I had a girlfriend and she's like, Shone, sit down. And I'm like, I've been sitting down all day. I want to stand up and eat my cheeseburger. Sometimes men and women get in arguments for no stupid reason whatsoever. But anyhow, she's sitting down at the bar on a bar stool, right, where I could stand up and I'm just as high off the ground as she is. But she wanted me to sit in the stool. And I said, and we have this little argument. And the argument is over me not sitting down. So I tell Craig that the next Friday. Now this guy's my marketing coach, and I tell him the story. I go, man, I was just so pissed because I didn't want to sit down. And he goes, well, Shone, did you sit down? I go, no. And he goes, well, Shone, sit down. I go, why? And he goes, your job as a man in a relationship is to cause your girl the least amount of stress possible. I was like, what? He goes, yeah. He goes,
I like that one.
he goes, that's your job. If she wants you to sit down, even though you don't want to sit down, just sit down because she's stressing out. If I would have shut down, her stress level would have lessened. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's why coaching is so important. You're going to get information out of the blue for your life, not just for your business. And I think that's the most important part about coaching.
Yeah. We believe in coaching. Definitely.
So what's the next thing? So we have Coach Marketing Masterclass Fridays at 10 a.m. Pacific. Go to coachmarketingmasterclass.com for more information. And what else?
That's what's coming up next, and it's free, and it's been great because we put people on the hot seat. So if you have some questions, or maybe you have a landing page or website you want critiqued, we'll do it. And it's so fun. Everyone learns because they have the same mistakes you do. So come join in the fun. It's free every Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific time.
And even this Friday, being that it's the day after the 4th of July.
Yeah. Are we going to do it?
Well, if I relapse, I'm not going to do it because I'll be way too wasted.
You won't be doing that. So we'll be there. So anyone that wants to join, will be there.
But one of the things I want to say about the Coach Marketing Masterclass, remember, if you come there, we're going to give you ideas for tools that you can use with the least amount of investment possible. The reason this is so important is there's a thing out there called Go High Level, and we do have that at the marketing agency. But a lot of people are saying, hey, buy my stuff, and it's not this, but it is. And there's things you could go out there that are free, so you don't have to pay for all that. All we want you to do is get to a point where you can afford some type of coach, and hopefully it would be us.
Yeah.
Right?
Awesome. Well, thank you, Shane.
All right. Thanks.